Hey everyone, I release music under the alias Alo Bend, and maybe you've been wondering how I managed to get some of the sounds that you've been hearing, specifically what I've been releasing under the series of the Just Raw releases. So these Just Raw releases are made with Just Intonation, which means that the chords are perfectly aligned with the harmonic series. I've managed to achieve the sound using my own plugin, Alo Bend, which dynamically retunes every chord according to the harmonic series. Dynamic Just Intonation means that each chord is retuned in real time according to its root note. For example, as you can hear in this chord progression. These bars represent each key on the keyboard within one octave. So you have 12 bars, like there are 12 keys in one octave. Let's look at the C major chord in Just Intonation. If you look at the goniometer, you see how the Lisa U figure is very stable because all the overtones within the chord are also aligned. If I don't use Alo Bend, the overtones are not aligned, which makes the Lisa U figure kind of bounce around like that. Before you can play in Just Intonation with this plugin, you'll have to make sure that the pitch bend range in Alo Bend and the pitch bend range in your synth is the same. In this case now, we've got 2 in Alo Bend and also 2 in Vairo. Another feature of Alo Bend is that you can pitch bend only one note. At the moment, it's the top note you can pitch bend, and because the pitch bend range is at 2, you are pitching in between 2 semitones. So that sounds like this, for example. If you don't want to pitch bend the top note, you can also pitch bend any other note. Let's say we have 4 notes in the chord, like this. You can use a note index up here to pitch bend any note you want, really. So if you have the note index 2, you're pitch bending the second note from the top. So this G is going to go up to an A, or down to an F. And if you do note index 3, it's the third from the top. But you can also pitch bend from the bottom by deselecting note from top. And just like with pitch bending from the top, you can then pitch bend the second note from the bottom or the third note from the bottom. If you deselect single note pitch bend, you can pitch bend also the whole chord, like this. Alo Bend retunes your chords according to the root note of the chord. So you can either use the most played note to determine the root note, or the lowest note. This is the lowest note, and here's the most played note. If I play a C major with 2 E's in it, it'll use E as the root note. And if I use the lowest note, it'll just use C as the root note. You can also turn off the auto root note, in which case it won't be in dynamic Just Intonation, which would mean that if you play D major chord within C major, the D major chord would then sound like this. The D major chord sounds like this because we're not retuning it according to its own root note, but according to the root note C. Over here, you can also choose which root note you want. So let's say you want D as a root note. You can then deselect auto root note. Now D has a simple number ratios of Just Intonation, so 1, 3, and 5. And C would sound out of tune in comparison. You can adjust how many keys need to be pressed down simultaneously before it recalculates the root note. So if you set the notes to trigger to 4 and only press down 3 notes, it won't retune the chord. So now on the setting 4, it won't recalculate the D major to play dynamically in Just Intonation. So the C still has a simple number ratio of 1, 3, 5, but D doesn't. You can also change which intonation you want per key. If you don't want to have, let's say, 6 to 5 as your minor third, you can have also, for example, 19 to 16 as your minor third, or any other interval. If you don't want it to be in minor third, you can also choose something completely different. There's also ratio mode and detune mode. In detune mode, here you can now see how much Just Intonation deviates from TET in cents. So for example, the C sharp is 11.73 cents higher than in TET. And here you can also bend the pitches. If your pitch bend range is 2, then it'll only pitch 2 semitones. If you double click the bar, it'll go back to Just Intonation. I hope you can get an idea of what this plugin can do. I know that this was a lot of information now, and pretty densely packed with music theory and some acoustics also. If you need an in-depth tutorial to something specific in the plugin, then let me know in the comments. If you want to see what the plugin can do, you should check out my Just Raw releases. I also recently uploaded a version of Bach's Prelude in C major from his well-tempered clavier, but in Just Intonation. That could also give you an idea of what it sounds like. It's all linked in the description of the video. Alo Bend is a MIDI plugin only for Logic Pro right now. So now we're also developing a synthesizer for all DAWs, including Ableton, FL Studio also. At the moment, it still looks like this. It's in the very early stages, and as you can see, it doesn't look that fancy yet, but we're working hard on making it work for all DAWs. Like and subscribe! Hey everyone! Interested in how I managed to achieve the sound that you hear in my tracks? Because I'm using dynamic just intonation. I'm using dynamic just intonation with my plugin Alo Bend. Yeah. Tritone. This is the tritone in Just Intonation. And this is actually not that interesting. This is a bit complex. It'll be it won't be in dynamic Just Intonation, but it'll stay. It won't be in dynamic it won't be. It's so boring. Okay. Was habe ich eigentlich erst gemacht? Hier, lass mal eben. Retunes. How much sense each. Boah, Alter. Here you can now see how much Just Intonation deviates from 12 tone equal, from TET in cents.
Of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Muss diesen ganzen YouTuber-Garbage jetzt machen.
Muss ich das machen?
Nein! Ich hasse es.
Like and subscribe! Das war's, oder?
Soll ich das so drin lassen?
Ja.
Dann sieht man so die Mania, wie sie so langsam. Okay.
Ich glaube, das wäre jetzt mal so, ja.